know we can't leave you out, so send us your messages on social media and watch us react on FanView.
And you know we love a good little debate, right, Gio? We've got you covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. We're just looking at a live shot of halfway tree in Kingston, Jamaica from the studios of CVM TV here at 69 Constant Spring Road. I'm Giovanni Dennis. We are bracing for the arrival of Tropical Storm Melissa. This evening, we are focusing on how towns, utilities and communities are preparing for the potential impact from emergency shelters to power supply. The country is on high alert. We'll be joined by Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr. We'll also be speaking to him in his capacity as a Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon to hear what's happening in his constituency, as well as his ministry. We'll also be hearing from Mayor of Maypen, Joel Williams, and the Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, to gauge how the city out west is preparing for the storm. But first, let's start with our meteorologist, Jovoy Sawyers, to give us the very latest on Tropical Storm Melissa and what's happening. Mr. Sawyers, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, so where are we now with Melissa? It's overcast in most parts of the country. It's overcast at the moment right here in Kingston, not raining at the moment. Are you hearing of any reports of rain anywhere coming from Tropical Storm Melissa?
Well, it's currently raining in the west. Just some showers coming across on the trade winds. Like I said earlier, it's just the instability from the storm enhancing source activities across the island this afternoon. However, expect persons across the northeast, Portland, St. Mary to probably wake up tomorrow morning with some morning showers, and this will progress throughout the day across eastern parishes. Expecting showers to pick up across the island early Saturday morning and then into the weekend.
In terms of the tropical storm right now strengthening, it's been projected to be upgraded to a hurricane by tomorrow. What are you seeing in terms of how it's strengthening?
Well, key to note is that the center of circulation is now being enveloped by thunderstorms, and earlier it was exposed, and this inhibited any development. Now that center is now being enveloped by thunderstorms, affecting the system to then gradually develop come tomorrow, late tomorrow, as the wind shear also relaxes over the system, causes those thunderstorms to build higher and feed into the system. So come Friday PM, Friday night into Saturday morning, when we expect the tropical storm to then progress into a Category 1 hurricane. And then from there, expecting rapid development as it moves south of the island, moving from a Category 1 to potentially a Category 3 or even higher south of the island.
We have on screen right now, and we'll just bring it full screen, the current projections based on the Zoom Earth app. And it's now showing that it will be coming, the eye will be passing pretty much over Westmoreland right there based on current projections. What from your end should we expect any more changes from this between now and by the time the eye gets closer to Jamaica?
Well, having if you're watching the track throughout the day today, the 5 a.m., the 10 a.m., the 2 p.m. advisories, you see that center line has been shifting more north towards the island. It has now shifted slightly south but we're still expecting that the center of the system to track near the southern coast of the island before recurving early next week close to the western end. Now we're seeing that cone of uncertainty is pretty much a circle because the system is moving so slowly that the days catch up on itself in the cone. So the cone becomes a circle. So the center can be anywhere within that circle, north of that center line track or south of the center line track, but that is just the center. The impacts from the system has far reaches outside of the center of circulation, expecting strong winds and especially heavy rainfall. I said earlier to someone that it would have been better for the island if the system passed towards the east. That would put the dirty side of the storm with the strongest winds, the most rains to the east. Bad news for Haiti, but it would have been better off for us. Having the system pass to the south and then recurve across the western side of the island, that puts the worst of the storm across the island for the duration of the period. I'm talking from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. We could be looking at sustained tropical storm force winds at the least, and at most some category 2 hurricane force winds with higher gusts across the island for the duration of the 5 days.
Hold a second. 5 days of this kind of condition or worsening condition while it's strengthening?
Well, it will be moving at snail's pace. And that's a certainty. It's not going to be moving much. That cone that you're seeing on your screen, that's a 5-day cone. And you see how far that line extends, pretty much the width of the island within 5 days. That is very slow. And coupled with the forecasted heavy rainfall and the gusty winds across the island for the period, we're looking at some pretty nasty conditions.
Wow. Is there anything else at this moment that you would like to alert the country to before we move on? Because they say it's going to get nasty. It's going to carry us going into Tuesday next week, and we'll be getting some reactions from a couple mayors and a member of parliament as well. But is there anything else just before we let you go that you'd like to share and put the country on alert to right now, Mr. Sawyers?
So the fact that it's moving so slowly and it's been impacted now by some wind shear, it will impact the final forecast track. However, there is high certainty now that the system will move south of the island. How closely it moves is to be determined. However, don't look at the center line of the forecast cone and say, oh, it's going to be south, it's going to be west. That is just the center of the system. It may grow in size, so expecting hurricane force winds to extend much further from that center line. So prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
You mentioned the center line and the eye of the storm. How significant is it whether the eye passes through the island or just west of the island? Like, what difference does it make?
So if the eye passes through the island, it would limit development somewhat of the system. It would probably keep it at most category 2, category 3. Moving across the island. It will also limit how much rainfall we get because, like I said, the dirty side of the system is to the east of the eye. So if the eye tracks across the island, it keeps the worst side, the worst of the storm, probably over eastern parishes or at most over the waters to the east. If the eye tracks like it's tracking now to the south, it remains over open water. It then strengthens further into a major category 3, category 4 storm. Some models indicating a category 5. That's yet to be determined. However, if it tracks, like I said, across the waters to the south, that spells even worse news for the island.
Wow. All right. So, Javoy, just what's it like right now in St. James in terms of what you're seeing shoppers heading out? Have you gotten everything that you need to get as well?
Well, I tried this morning when persons were going to work. I think that was the best time for me. Trying to get some fuel for the vehicle, just in case having a full tank, I guess, is always good. ATMs are full. People came in last night in the supermarkets. They're shopping. I guess everybody timing other persons trying to avoid the crowd. But people are taking it seriously. I've seen a few carts with essentials, canned foods, hurricane preps.
Okay. All right. So that's our in-house meteorologist, Javoy Sawyers, who is giving us just gave us the very latest there on Tropical Storm Melissa. Thank you so much, Javoy. As we now shift gears a bit to get some word then from the Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon and also the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Colonel Charles Jr., who is just joining us. And we just want to bring up on screen some material that we see Minister Charles shared with us, MP Charles in this instance, in his constituency. We saw him out in Rocky Point earlier today, as well as other parts of Clarendon. You can see him now on your screen. Minister Charles, well, MP in this instance, you're wearing two hats today, so I may interchange. So just sit with me a little bit. Where and where were you there? Where are we looking at right now?
So that was me in Rocky Point, in one of the primary drains that take a large load of the water straight out into the ocean. And what it shows is one of the difficulties we have is that there's a lot of debris on the surface that with any little rain is rushed out into the drain, and a lot of plastic bottles. But we're doing what we can to clear the drain. We're doing some work also in Portland Cottage. We're doing work across the entire constituency. And this is just to make sure that if we do get this impact that Javoy is speaking about, that it is in the best position possible to take off some of the water. It still will not stop the flooding. As you know, Giovanni, these areas are either on or below sea level. So this work is really just to mitigate and to try to handle it a little better than it would if it was in a worse situation.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, just moving on, because I do want to go in a little bit more deeper in terms of Mitchelltown, Portland Cottage, Rocky Point there. Certainly, Portland Cottage below sea level. But Bottom Halsall, in September 2022, you and I spoke there in the night after we had some serious rainfall and that entire community was underwater. What's the latest with the situation right there now?
So, Bottom Halsall, that actually is the region in the constituency that is most greatly affected, even though it is not in close proximity to the coast. For whatever reason, I believe that there's a natural sinkhole in that community. And that is why for about maybe 2 decades now, there's been discussions of evacuating the space. Even at one time before I was Member of Parliament, there was an effort to have persons leave that area, but it was not successful. Right now, I'm actually doing some work with the NAA in that area to restore the drain. But of course, because of how that area is structured, even that work will not be sufficient to treat with the loads of water that come down in Bottom Halsall. Ultimately, we might have to look to move some of those homes that are right beside the sinkhole, because when it rains, I'm telling you, water is above almost close to your shoulder in some places in that area.
No, places were underwater the last time. I do want to ask you some more questions in terms of people going to the shelters in some of these communities, but we are up on the first break. We're talking to, in this capacity right now, the Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon, Colonel Charles Jr. We'll also be asking him questions in his capacity as Minister of Labour and Social Security. What's happening for persons with disabilities, the preparations for them at some of the shelters islandwide. Stay with us right here on this special edition of Lead Story. We're going for the entire hour as we continue to track and give you team coverage of Tropical Storm Melissa approaching Jamaica.
From first steps on campus to graduation day, we've been with you through every chapter. Introducing the new face of the Students' Loan Bureau, a fresh identity designed for your future. The bold step forward with a fresh look for a future-focused mission, still rooted in trust, service, and possibility, while continuing to uphold our core values of integrity, accountability, respect, teamwork, excellence, and customer focus. It reflects who we are today, modern, resilient, and evolving with the people we serve. This isn't just a new logo, it's a renewed commitment. The Students' Loan Bureau, building bridges, transforming dreams.
all begins. The quest to become great. Inspired by those who went before them, these 4 boys dream of playing in the ISSA schoolboy football competitions.
Will you score this for Casey? Will you score? It's a shot, it's a goal!
And it's a shot, and it's a goal! And Casey has won the Manning Cup, and they will play Clarendon College in the Olivia Shield.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. We're going for the full hour today and also tomorrow as we continue to track the impending arrival of Tropical Storm Melissa. It's just south of the island now, and we're currently speaking with the Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon, Pernell Charles Jr., and he was just telling us about the difficulties in a particular area in Clarendon called Bottom Halsall, in the Halsall area, obviously, of the parish. And for anyone not familiar with that area, it's close to Jamalco. Jamalco is a major location in the parish. Jamalco football field, that is, and then the Jamalco itself, the plant, it's down in that area of the parish. In 2022, that area was flooded out, like completely covering houses. People had to evacuate, and he's pretty much saying that nothing much has changed since. So then, let's move then to the idea now of people going to the shelters. Minister Charles, what's the closest shelter to Bottom Halsall that residents in that area can go to?
Well, just to indicate, in terms of Bottom Halsall, yes, we are starting a road that connects to that area and building a drain. And we've also cleaned out the drain that is from the Mineral Heights area, which is northern of it, which is one of the reasons that we believe a lot of water is dumped into Bottom Halsall, because it's not caught up in Mineral Heights. So we have done something, but regardless of it, because of the volume of water we see there, I can tell you, it might lessen it, but they'll still get an impact. As it relates to the shelters, Giovanni, as you know, the local government ministry assigns the shelters. What the Ministry of Labour and Social Security does is we step in to provide support in terms of shelter management. So we provide food, we provide relief supplies, and our social workers are trained. They're first responders, so they're trained in CPR, they're trained in understanding how to address different types of issues. And so we step in to make sure that the shelter management across the country is as efficient as possible. And that is connected also to the distribution of our food packages. The ministry is the ministry that treats with welfare management and coordination. So we are the lead of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee. So we have already had our meetings, bringing all of the different stakeholders like Food for the Poor, Red Cross, ADRA, Salvation Army together. We have received donations, we have purchased some resources ourselves, and we are in a position now to make, if needed, more than 10,000 packages. So far, we have made less than 1,000 packages and distributed those pre-positioning in Dover, in Portland, in Manchester, to cover the eastern and central areas of the country. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be going to Hanover to cover the west. And of course, you know, we have our Central Food Organization in Kingston, which covers Kingston, St. Catherine area. So our goal is to make sure that we are as ready as possible in terms of being able, after the storm, if it comes, to provide support. The ministry.
Well, before we talk about after the storm, and obviously in the capacity as Labour Minister, persons with disabilities, we've spoken on a number of occasions. Yes. About persons with disabilities and what's being done for them even during the storm. One of the issues you spoke about earlier this year was the or lack of data for persons with disabilities in terms of getting these persons who may be located in some of these flood-prone areas to the shelters. What, if anything, is being done about that?
So in each area, we have a social worker or a community organizer assigned to persons with disabilities. And they would have the contact list. Matter of fact, we have a WhatsApp line, 876-447-0444, for persons with disabilities to be able to contact us if necessary.
Could you repeat that number one more time?
876-447-0444. So we have already sent out bulletins to the various organizations that we work with. We have put information on our social media through JCPD. And again, our social workers that are assigned to JCPD, they already have contact lists of the persons with disabilities that are registered. They understand their unique situations. And those are the persons that will be in touch with them to give support as necessary. But if you're not registered and you're a person with disability, you call that WhatsApp line and we will try our best to see how we can give support either through the JCPD or through our social workers or team, the humanitarian assistance team across the parish offices.
Okay, and as we try to bring in Mayor of Mapen, Joel Williams, I just want to remind our viewers of this number, and hopefully we can bring it up on screen. So for persons with disabilities who may need to get help or get in touch with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the number for you to call is 876 or WhatsApp 447-0444. That's 876-447-0444. That's a WhatsApp line for persons with disabilities anywhere in Jamaica. If you need help or assistance from the government, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has made this number available for you to call. WhatsApp, sorry.
Very important to say, as the lead of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, we've actually taken a decision to put together an emergency operations center at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. And so in addition to that line for JCPD, for persons with disabilities specifically, we have a contact center that has been developed at the ministry. And the phone line there is 922-9500-10. That's 922-9500-10. And that's for our emergency operations center. So that's the more general operations center, and the specific WhatsApp line is there for the persons with disabilities.
Okay. Is there anything else right now before I get some comment from Joel Williams that you'd like to share that we haven't asked you about just yet, Minister Williams, in the capacity as Labour Minister?
Just that we are urging persons, if you are in a community, if you know somebody who is an older person, somebody who needs assistance because they are a person with disability or whatever the issue is, now is the time to reach out to that person. Now is the time to identify what the circumstances is and to let us know beforehand. Even though we primarily provide our support post-disaster, if there are unique vulnerabilities, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security will step in right now. We have an anticipatory process that helps persons who are in need even during and before the disaster. But we have to get that information from you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thanks so much. That was the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., who is also the Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon. And he said drain cleaning is also taking place in Mitchelltown as well as Rocky Point, Minister?
I know you will ask about Mitchelltown for sure.
Have to.
Yeah, well, drain cleaning now is taking place in Rocky Point, Portland Cottage. Not yet in Mitchelltown, but by tomorrow, we should be in Mitchelltown.
Why is it always the last minute though, Minister? It's something that needs to be ongoing because these areas are flood prone. So even without the arrival of Tropical Storm Melissa, we have been experiencing some serious flash floods for the past month or so.
Well, over the last year, we have actually been quite efficient in doing preemptory drain cleaning. Mitchelltown actually is the area in the entire southern Clarendon that received the largest amount of allocation for drain cleaning. More than 6 or 7 drains were cleaned. The problem is that as they are cleaned, because of the heavy rains and cover so close to the coast, it's very easy for us to get back to square one. So yes, I do agree, and I'm in full agreement that we need to have a more consistent process, but we do the best we can with the allocations. And as the country gets stronger economically, I expect that we'll be able to do this across the entire year.
All right. Well, thank you so very much there, Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon and also Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., giving us the very latest in terms of his work in both capacities. So thank you so much, Pernell Charles Jr. We'll keep in touch with you and we ask you to keep in touch with us and provide us with the very latest. All right?
Sure.
All right, so that was Pernell Charles Jr. We're shifting gears a little bit now. I do believe we have on the line the Mayor of Clarendon, Mayor of Mapen, that should be Joel Williams. Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers.
All right, so we just heard from Colonel Charles Jr. in terms of what's happening down in southeast Clarendon. I know there are other areas that are affected by serious flooding and rainfall, but let's hear what's happening in Mitchelltown. We did visit that community earlier today to speak with residents in terms of what they're doing with their preparation.
People are getting scared right now, to be honest. To be honest, people are actually maybe getting scared. So when you hear these people complaining and telling about the situation, what they are simply saying is that, what should we do? Where should we turn?
As far as what I see, we're not fully prepared. I don't see where Mitchelltown can take any flood because the drains are not properly clean.
I pray to the Lord and the Lord said it will turn back. No must come.
All right, so that's where we'll start with you then, Joel Williams. People in Mitchelltown say they don't feel fully prepared because the drains haven't been cleaned yet. Colonel Charles Jr. promising that drain cleaning will be taking place tomorrow. What support, if any, will the municipality be doing to that end?
Well, the municipality would have provided some funding in August and in July for some drain cleaning to be done through our councillors. I'm not sure what was done in that area by the councillor for that area, but that is not anything of any great magnitude in terms of the cleaning, because what we have at our disposal is basically to do smaller drains, not the major drains. The major drains are always been dealt with through the National Works Agency. But overall, yes, we have done some cleaning on the plain and in the hills.
Where have you done the cleaning? Where specifically?
Well, if you're talking about in the plain, I've seen drain cleaning being done in the Mineral Heights area, along the Bustamante Highway. In the Maypen area, we'd have done cleaning in the Western Park, in the Howard Avenue, in the Denver Crescent area. And those are areas that are primary areas for flooding, especially in central Clarendon. I know today the Member of Parliament was in a number of areas that carry drains that are of the carry the major
When it's a Member of Parliament speaking about central Clarendon, you're talking about Delroy Williams.
Right, yes. He
and
was
where did you see him today?
Pardon me?
Where was he today?
He was in the areas that I just spoke to, the Western Park, because we have some major drains that are under the National Works Agency, the Guinea Tree area, Howard Avenue area, Harris Street, Western Park, Denver Crescent, in the woods of Langsville above the Buckner area. Those are the areas that we have serious challenges with.
And as I mentioned that area, I was just speaking to Colonel Charles Jr. About a 2022 incident in Bottom Halsa, but also in that Western Park, Denby area. There was a community, there's a major gully that runs behind one of the communities there, and that broke its banks in 2022. What, if anything, is being done in terms of widening that particular gully, if you're aware of what I'm speaking about?
Well, it's not much more about widening, it's much about cleaning. So the drain off, the runoff is quicker than if it is not clean. That is going through, that's the Jocks Gully, and it goes through Western Park all the way through Southwest Clarendon down into the Milk River.
Give me a second
that's
there.
A major
Joel Williams, we're just taking a quick break right now, and we'll come back to you to finish this point. And I have a couple more questions for you before we move on to get some reactions and some updates from the National Works Agency. Stay with us here on Lead Story. We're going the full hour today, tracking Melissa.
Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30. Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria. The root cause of bad breath, gum problems, cavities, plaque, and tartar. That's why Colgate combined the best science and technology in Colgate Total. Unlike others, its superior formula fights bacteria and creates a powerful protective barrier for up to 24 hours to prevent them from coming back. Take control of your oral health with Colgate Total.
We want a piece for Jamaica. Yeah. Yo, what are you?
Oh man, none of that. No, brother, no. I'm not that.
Can I see you ever play ref? No big game,
yeah, but I look a bad game. No, I said, Pierce, you come from, brother. I want to live good, man. I want to live good, Bridging. No shake on, I can play a little bad, Bridging.
Really have to shake on?
Yeah, man, and no badness, Bridging. Just live good, man.
Come together and make the violence done.
Lead like the world is watching.
Because it is. The Impact Leadership Summit brings the ultimate business advantage on November 4 at the AC Marriott Hotel, Kingston, Jamaica.
Learn from global speaker and entrepreneur, Vusi Temakwai.
Leaders, hear me and hear me now. Do they understand the calling and are they God-led?
Maxwell Leadership Coach, Erica McKenzie.
Oxford Rhodes Scholar and global investor, David Walcott.
Investment Guru and Senator Ramon Small Ferguson.
This is where leaders rise and impact begins.
Sponsored by Creative Brands and Concepts,
The Summit,
BYD,
AC Hotel,
and Intelligent Multimedia. For more info, call 876-438-1134.
Live images there of Tropical Storm Melissa on its way to Jamaica and parts of the country already feeling the effects on the autobahns. Just to say that we do have online the communications manager from the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, and we will be going to him in just a moment. But before that, the mayor of Maypen, Joel Williams, was speaking about the drain cleaning works taking place in the Jacks Gully, and you're telling us what's happening with that, Mayor Williams.
No. I am saying that gully is critical for drain cleaning, and I hope when Mr. Shaw speaks to you, he will address that one, because that is pivotal in terms of all the tributaries leading out of Maypen. Everything flows into that major drain that takes it out to Milk River into the sea.
And what's the state of that gully right now?
It definitely needs cleaning at the moment, without any doubt. No major cleaning have been done there during the course of this year.
That's unacceptable though, isn't it, Mayor Williams?
It is what it is, but we have to, at this point in time where we are, we have to just do it as best as we can, as it relates to what we have to work with now. And we have to move with alacrity. We have to move quickly.
Okay, well, Melissa is moving not so much with alacrity, but it will be staying over here when it comes.
It's staying over us, right?
Let's bring into the conversation right now then National Works Agency Communications Manager Stephen Shaw, and try to get a response from him on that particular gully in Clarendon that runs through several communities, going straight down out into the Milk River and connecting into the Rio.
Yeah.
Good evening, Stephen Shaw. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. Good evening, Gio. Good evening to your viewers and listeners. I'm not able to speak definitively to the Jacks Gully situation as raised by the mayor. I know we are doing work in Clarendon, in the central area of Clarendon. I know we have Nickel Avenue, Box Avenue, Nelson Street, Paradise Street. All of these drains in those areas will be getting attention. I will have to get further and better particulars as it relates to the situation, as it relates to Jacks Gully. But we are doing work in Clarendon, generally speaking, as it relates to mitigation works, and we have done work over the last 3 to 4 months in the parish where drain cleaning and mitigation is concerned.
Yeah. What about then the Mitchelltown? We just heard from some residents there saying the drains haven't been cleaned. We did hear, to be fair to him, the Member of Parliament, Colonel Charles Jr., saying that they plan to get some work done there tomorrow. Can you speak to that?
We do have some work to do that is in the southeast of the parish.
Yes.
We have some drains in Rocky Point, we have Keys Lane, and so the member of parliament would be quite au fait with what is to take place in this space, because we are liaising directly with members of parliament and some councillors as it relates to this new drain cleaning effort that we have embarked on since yesterday, mainly along the parishes along the south coast of Jamaica. So from St. Thomas all the way to St. Elizabeth, we have a program that we're focusing on critical drains, and a couple of other parishes are include St. Anne, Hanover, and Portland. They too are getting some assistance by way of additional drain cleaning works, and I want to stress additional works, because it is not that these are just meaning the drain cleaning activities are just now being done, because we have done 2 rounds of drain cleaning across the island since June as part of our hurricane preparedness plan that we execute every year.
The Sandy Gully were there
Giovanni,
yes.
Giovanni, before you go, I don't want us to lose sight of the hills, the northern section of the parish, because we have areas in the hills that we have challenges too. And also one of the big problems they do have in the hills is land slippages.
Okay. All right. So that's something that
we are quite aware of the situation in the hills, and so drains in the northern side of Clarendon, they too will be getting attention.
When, Mr. Shaw?
As I have said elsewhere and before, where landslides, rockfall, and some flooding are concerned, we want to advise persons to exercise extreme caution and take personal responsibility. The situation, Giovanni, is that much of the island would have been receiving increased rainfall over the last 4 to 6 weeks. The underground aquifers are, in a lot of instances, fully charged, and so it will not take a lot of water for a rainfall, that is, for there to be water flowing over land. And it flows over land, goes to the lowest point, and flooding is likely. Rockfall also likely. So we are saying to persons, in moving about, do not attempt to cross any flooded roads. Avoid areas that we know are traditional rock falling areas. The Bogwat Gorge is one of them. Little Bay along the coast from Port Maria is another one. And so, and there are others in St. Thomas and Hanover and elsewhere. So persons, I want to underscore, should take some personal responsibility for their safety at this time.
Seeing our correspondent from out in St. Thomas sending some stuff with the Bamboo River area, and I'm looking at what appears to be a drain gully there right now. Serious debushing needed and cleaning there. What's happening in that area?
I think I shared with your producer. Maybe she hasn't picked it up just yet. We have equipment at the location as it's now minutes to 7, so I'm not sure they're there now. But we did start the drain cleaning activities there this afternoon, Giovanni, recognizing the challenge there at Bamboo River. And again, you would have seen what we face on a regular basis just by the way we live and the way we dispose of our garbage. A lot of garbage was in that particular space, clogging it. So we have an issue. The drain enters the sea at an angle. It looks like right angle, which is in and of itself is a challenge. You want to have the drain, entering the sea, not at right angles, because you have the backflow and the sand comes in and blocks the mouth of the channel, and then you have backing up of the stormwater flows taking place. What we're seeking to do is to ease that particular situation, to mitigate it as best as we can. But there is always the possibility that more sand will be deposited at the mouth of the gully, and persons could be in problems. Again, it's a low-lying area. It is a flood-prone area, and so the persons who are in that space ought to heed the warnings that are being given by ourselves and the relevant government entities led by the ODPEN.
Speaking about the buildup of the soil there and what you were speaking about just now in St. Thomas, what about the Sandy Gully? We saw some works taking place there yesterday, yourself and Works Minister Robert Nestor Morgan as well. But the area beyond the place where we were removing the that we're seeing on screen right now, removing the buildup of soil right there. Beyond that, though, on the other side, in Seaview Gardens, it's almost like a forest in that area. And that is where a lot of garbage is located. What's happening for that and the cleanup of that area, which is actually worse than what we're seeing right now at Stephen Shaw?
All right. So the effort as of now is really to ease the situation that exists where the free flow, meaning the area between the base of the gully and the bottom of the bridge, has been reduced. So we are in the channel, and we have been there since yesterday, removing loads and loads of sand and debris from the space. Beyond the bridge, there is the need for much work. We are going to be doing a little bit of work in that space, but much more is needed. The government has indicated that it will be dealing with that particular situation, but it requires a special effort because it is going to be very expensive. It has not been done, meaning clean in this way, in many, many years. And so there's a significant amount of money that's required. And because of the amount of money, the process that has to be undertaken has been prescribed by government. And so it has to go through the Ministry of Finance. There is what is called a PIMC process. And the minister touched on it yesterday when we were out on the location. I think the Prime Minister has spoken about this effort, and it is something that I will have to leave for the policymakers to speak more about.
Yeah, that's something that you always like that to use that phrase that's above your pay grade. What's the status though of the protective sandbagging along McGregor Gully, and how soon will that be completed?
We up till late this evening we were in the 90s. We are pretty close to finishing, and we might have completed the process this evening. My information is up to about 4:30 this afternoon, and the work was continuing, but we were well advanced in terms of the effort, in terms of using the sandbags to assist in shoring up the embankments in 2 locations along the McGregor Gully in eastern Kingston.
Both in West Rural and East Rural St. Andrew, Juliet Holnes's and Juliet Cuthbert Flynn's constituency, those hilly areas, serious landslides often take place up there. You have teams on standby to manage those areas. What's happening there?
We have a standing plan that we execute anytime we have these kinds of weather systems. We have contractors with whom we work, and so we know who to call, when to call, and where to deploy. So we do have plans in place for those areas, yes. Yeah. And mitigation works are also taking place in both these constituencies.
And just before we let you go, St. Elizabeth?
St. Elizabeth is getting attention. We're doing work in Luana, We're doing some work in the southwest of the parish, in the southeast of the parish as well. And so we are giving St. Elizabeth some attention as it relates to the additional mitigation works that we're doing.
We have about 15 seconds to go. Is there any number that residents can call in various communities if they have issues and they need to reach out to the NWA to kind of alert you to what's happening there?
We have some numbers, Gio, that we are going to be sharing with the public in the morning. I didn't want to release these numbers just yet because they're not yet in manned. We have our...
If you could share them with us as soon as you have them available, Mr. Shaw. I mean, we are up on the break right now, but please share them with our team so we can make them public. We take our final break here on Lead Story. Stay with us when we come back. We'll be hearing from the Jamaica Public Service.
Ashman's Equipment, the new name in forklift sales and rentals in Jamaica. Top quality, low prices, fleet discounts available, 12-month warranty, free service parts, daily rentals, crazy cheap. Ashman's Equipment, same forklift, better deals.
BCIC is giving up to $5 million in free content insurance.
We've developed a free online calculator. So anybody in Jamaica, any homeowner can go on to BCIC online. You don't even have to be a BCIC customer, and it will give you a building value.
When you update your home's rebuilding cost with our online calculator, you'll get $5 million in free content insurance and up to 12 months to pay your premium.
If you're not insured, go get it now. Better to be safe than sorry.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. We're talking Tropical Storm Melissa that's projected to become Hurricane Melissa by the time it gets to Jamaica. In fact, we're seeing some models from the New York Times showing us that by the time it reaches over the western end of Jamaica, they're expecting it, well, actually the eastern end of Jamaica, which is on Sunday, closer to the island, it's expected to be a Category 4 hurricane based on what we're seeing there, and that's coming from the New York Times. The latest from them there is showing you at 5 o'clock this afternoon where it was located. It's also showing the areas likely to be affected and how soon they'll be affected. Our neighbors, Haiti, the first, Saturday 1 a.m. in terms of serious impact. Jamaica, 32% by 11 o'clock Saturday morning in terms of some serious impact. Spanish Town, Jamaica as well, Maypen, Jamaica. So it's showing you the areas that will be seriously impacted by tropical storm and what's projected to be Hurricane Beryl by the time it reaches Jamaica. Now we're looking as well at this tropical storm Melissa. My apologies, I beg your pardon. We're looking now at the maximum sustained winds, 143 miles per hour. And of course, if you want to convert that to kilometers per hour, that's closer like to 200 or more than 200 kilometers per hour. So that it's moving really quickly, the winds. And of course, it's moving about the latest data from the Met Service at 5 o'clock was showing it was moving at about 3 miles per hour. So let's go now to the Jamaica Public Service. We have Winsome Callum who is joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, Winsome Callum. Firstly, a lot of Jamaicans want to know, will the JPS be disconnecting power in my community? What's the process around that particular move, if at all, needed by the Jamaica Public Service? I think that's what most people want to hear right now.
Good evening, Giovanni, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. One of the first things that I want to make really clear is that JPS rarely chooses to turn the power off for our customers. It is not something that we do except in extreme circumstances, like with a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, and that is to protect the system. However, there are power outages when you have the type of adverse weather conditions associated with a tropical storm. And these outages are caused by a number of factors. It's not JPS that initiates them, but the environmental factors will cause the outages. For example, with Tropical Storm Melissa, we have a particular concern because of the level of soil saturation that we're seeing. For the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've had consistent rain in several parishes, several communities. And what this means is that the ground is already saturated, waterlogged. So if we get 4 to 6 inches of rain over the next couple of days, we will have landslides, we'll have flooding, and these could impact the grid by dislocating poles, bringing trees down on power lines, and these are the things that will cause the power to go out.
Yeah. In terms of bolstering the systems, we saw last year following the passage of Hurricane Beryl and how St. Elizabeth was affected, and there was some bitter protests because of the time it took for power to be restored. What has been done to bolster a system, not just in parts of St. Elizabeth, but in other parts of the island coming out of Hurricane Beryl?
There are a number of things that have been done. With regards to what happened in St. Elizabeth, we did not initially recognize the extent of the damage to the infrastructure. The Category 4 hurricane really hit St. Elizabeth, the sections of Manchester and Clarendon really badly, and that wasn't initially apparent to us, so we were not as prepared as we want to be. However, this year we are better prepared because we've had a chance to address some of the issues that existed. For example, we've been implementing what we call a structural integrity program, which means strengthening the grid by replacing poles, replacing power lines, putting in new infrastructure like transformers, insulators, and most importantly, we've been deploying, or we've accelerated the deployment of technology. And this technology is intended to facilitate shorter and fewer outages. So we expect that there will be outages, as we said earlier, but we will be able to isolate the affected sections of the grid so that not all the customers on that particular power section, power line, will be affected. So we isolate it because we have what we call automated devices that will say, all right, the problem is here. The tree has impacted the line here. So we can just keep this area out while we ensure that the rest of the customers are on. So there's been a lot of investment in grid integrity. And we expect that while we will have disruption, that it will not be as devastating as we saw last year. However, I must caution that we cannot predict how Tropical Storm Melissa or Hurricane Melissa will affect the island. We are monitoring really closely.
But we do know, based on history, Ms. Callum, is that there are specific areas that are usually considered high risk for service disruption. What, if anything, are you doing about those particular areas? And do you have any, noted by the JPS that you're keeping a close watch on, any particular areas?
There are areas that we keep a watch on because they are hilly terrain, a really difficult terrain, and you find that it's more difficult to get access to these areas. So we have been working in these areas through what we call our blitzes that where we put in all the resources available, and we just carry out extensive, comprehensive work on these areas.
Can you care to share some of these areas, some of these specific areas with us?
I cannot get into the communities right now, but the parishes of Portland, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland have come in for a lot of attention because of the unique nature of some of the communities where you have, for example, over in the communities in the West, where you have a lot of bamboo. Now, the bamboo grows at such a fast pace that we have to treat that vegetation management differently so that the bamboo doesn't come up in the power line and create interruptions. So yes, those are the parishes that we've been keeping a close watch on, primarily because of the vegetation. We don't want to destroy the trees, but we have to manage them. So one of the things that we are seeing the benefits of is our elevated vegetation management program, which is a lot more scientific, a lot more structured, and we've gotten on board some much more capable teams to carry out vegetation management across the island.
Winsome Callum of the Jamaica Public Service, thank you so very much for this update. And that's all the time we have for you here on Lead Story. Stay with us here on CVM TV as we continue to track Melissa. News at 7 is next with Nika Lewis, and of course we'll be giving you updates right across the country. Our teams have been out in several parishes, and you will see what we have for you in store. Stay tuned.